Hey guys, Mars Thinking here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so today we are going to talk about the Int free-to-play Raditz and his EZA plus the Extreme Z area. Talk about the team that you guys are going to need to bring, or at least the combination of units that you can bring. And just talk about the event and the unit in general. So, as you can see here, we've got his post-EZA information up on the screen. His leader skill becomes low class warriors, category key 4 and HP and defense 60% and attack 100%. Don't know why they gave him a weird skew like that. It was the same thing before his awakening, but just obviously with slightly lower numbers. But he also picks up the sub lead of int types, key 3, HP attack and defense 50%. But as you can see, it's not extreme int, it's just int. So this will kind of play into the team build for the Extreme Z area a little bit. But yeah, so he does supreme damage to all enemies and lowers defense. So obviously he's a very good free-to-play option for things like the World Tournament, because he's an AoE unit. His passive skill, attack and defense 80% at the start of the turn, key plus 6 and attack and defense 60%, and superclass enemies attack and defense minus 10% when facing 2 or more enemies. So again, he is designed mainly for that AoE role, because you're getting this extra buff and then basically a guaranteed super, because key plus 6 on any unit who isn't an LR basically just means guaranteed super, unless you've put him on a weird team where he's not getting the leader skill bonus or something like that. Yeah, he's also nerfing the enemy's attack a little bit as well as their defense. So like, you know, it'll be interesting to try him out on like Pure Saiyan Super Battle Road, for example. Because he is still just a free-to-play unit, but his EZA obviously is going to have EZA stats. He's a free-to-play unit, so, you know, fairly easy to farm up and rainbow. So yeah, on paper, he looks pretty decent. It'll be interesting to see how well he performs in some of the harder events like Super Battle Road. He's got fairly decent links because he has prepared for battle. And then he has Nightmare, Brutal Beatdown, Shattering the Limit, Saiyan Lineage. All of these links are fairly common across extreme teams. Saiyan Lineage and Saiyan Warrior Race obviously not so much if they're not made up of Saiyans. But his categories are Low Class Warriors, Pure Saiyans, Goku Family, which obviously those are primarily Saiyan teams. And then Terrifying Conquerors is where you're going to get a little bit more variation. And that's where having those links like Nightmare and Brutal Beatdown will definitely come in handy. So, let's talk about his Extreme Z area. Now, this one is probably one of the more annoying ones. The list of units is a little bit more restrictive, and even though it may seem like there's quite a few options, there's not a lot of good leader options, so it makes building the team a little bit more interesting. So, one thing you have to make sure you are aware: the event will only become available after clearing all the stages of the following story events. The Saiyan Warrior Race event and the actual Raditz event itself, which, I mean, you should have finished that to have the Raditz in the first place, but I guess you can farm him from one of the earlier stages and not necessarily finish the other ones. But yeah, you've got to finish all of those, and then the Saiyan Warrior Race one is the event where you get this Int Great Ape Nappa. And it is required that you bring Raditz and Great Ape Nappa on the team. So obviously, anyone who hasn't farmed them up yet at all, or even not started but not finished, both of those events do come back with the release of this as well. So if you do need to finish them off, you can go ahead and do that. Just be aware, like I said, you do need to complete all the stages of both of those events, and then this event will appear in the challenge tab. I swear, like every time an easy area comes out, you will see tweets and posts from people not understanding why they can't find the event, and it's probably because they didn't do one of the stages of like this random old event or something. So once you've done that and it is all available, then as you can see, here we have the units that you can use, and they are a selection of units that are from the Saiyan Saga. So, unfortunately, as I'm sure you're all very much aware, we don't have a Saiyan Saga category in the game, and we don't have a lot of leaders that can encompass all of these units. In fact, even the units that they give you here for the pool to use, there isn't a specific leader who really does the whole job. So, the friend leader that you have to bring is an EZA Raditz. I think He's level 140, fully easy aid, but 0% in the dupe system, I think. And yeah, so his leader skill, low class warriors, and then int types. So if we have a look at the list, you know, Nappa, who you have to bring, fortunately is an int type unit because he's not a low class warrior. So if we have a look here, I've brought up some of the units that you can make a team out of just using RADITZ's leader skill. So obviously you run your RADITZ, you bring the friend RADITZ. So you have to bring the Great Ape Nappa. He's not the best unit in the world, so, you know, we don't need to go into a huge amount of detail about what he does. But he is an int type, so he's not on low-class warriors, but he gets the secondary part of RADITZ's passive. Then we have the actual Great Ape RADITZ himself. Obviously has a different name, because he has brackets Giant Ape. Again, not the best. He has a nuking style unit, so I guess if you get lucky and can pick up a ton of orbs, he can at least have somewhat reasonable defense and do an okay amount of damage, I guess. The main problem, of course, is if you're linking him up with the actual RADITZ. They share quite a few good links, but they're not going to have Say and Raw together, so that's something where the Nappa would definitely come in useful. Then, of course, we have LR Piccolo. Depending on how new you are to the game, you might not even have this guy. Obviously, I've been playing ever since he was introduced as a World Tournament reward, so I've had him Rainbow for the longest time. He's very outdated at this point and definitely needs an easy A, but, you know, worst things, like worst case scenario, you can run him on the team. He fits under Raditz's leader skill because he's an int type unit, and he is a reasonably good tank. I mean, nowadays, of course, defense plus 10,000 is pretty awful. Gives allies an extra little bit of defense, which I guess is nice, but yeah, he's not going to link super well with the team, especially because his links are Gaze of Respect, which no one is going to have, Shocking Speed, I don't know if anyone has, and that's it. And this is the problem with the LRs that the game gives us, either from the Battlefield shop, from Super Battle Road, or from like the World Tournament. They don't have Shattering the Limit, even though this Piccolo did have to be awakened from an SSR, and that would really help them out. But at least he fits under the lead, and even if you can't get a super with him, he can tank. So then, of course, we have this guy. So you will only have this guy if you were playing for April Fools last year. Essentially, he was the April Fools unit. Him and the 8-bit Vegeta are actually pretty decent, to be fair, especially for free-to-play units. They had their own orbs, so it was a free rainbow. And yeah, he's on low-class warriors, so he fits under Raditz's leader skill. Does supreme damage, raises attack for 4 turns, so he can at least build up his attack a little bit. And then, yeah, he gets all of his defense from supering, so you can't really put him in slot 1. But other than that, he'll do okay. He's got, like, Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Lineage prepared for battle, so he'll link up well with Raditz and some of the other units on the team. So you can definitely bring him. And then, unfortunately, to fill out the final slot, if you want to run a full team that actually fits under the double Raditz leader skills, the only other one is this int unit, the Goku. He's pretty much only available from the coin shop during the anniversaries and stuff. And so some people might not have even bothered to buy any copies of him. I think I have like 1 in my box from probably like the 2 or 3 year anniversary when I was still newer to the game. Just for like collection purposes. But yeah, he's really bad. 7% HP recovery and 2 key at the start of the turn. So that's it. If you're running the double Raditz, then obviously you're at least going to be able to super attack with him because he's getting key from the leader skill. Then he gives himself 2 key. He doesn't actually have prepared for battle. Does he have any key links? Oh yeah, Saiyan Lineage is 1 key. I seriously doubt anyone's going to have this guy at level 10 links. So at least the 2 key from his passive means that he can super. He only does extreme damage though. So he is by far the worst out of the units that we've talked about. But like I said, this team is literally solely so that you can run them under Raditz's leader skill. So the other way you could go about it is, of course, bring a different leader. You still have to bring the friend Raditz, so you're going to have a bit of a weird mix. But the next best choice, I think, is the LR Tien and Chaozu from the World Tournament. Their leader skill is all types, attack and defense, 100%. So unfortunately, no HP or no key. But 100% attack and defense is definitely a pretty reasonable amount. they are not going to link super well with the team either. They do have shocking speed, so I guess you could link them up with Piccolo to at least get 2 key there. But yeah, it becomes tricky when you're... This is what I don't like about these Extreme Z areas where the unit choice is so weird, is that as long as there's a good leader that gives a decent amount of key and stats, then it doesn't really matter too much, right? Because as long as that leader encompasses all of the units that it's forcing you to have to choose from, then it doesn't really matter which of those units that you have. But unfortunately, because RADITZ leader skill is so specific, like all of these units that it's giving us to use, like LR Nappa and Vegeta, Krillin, Yamcha, Great Ape Vegeta, any version of Kaioken Goku, like these guys are not int units and they're not low class warriors. So they don't fit under the leader skill that the game gives you to use, which I think is very bizarre and not a good way to do an Extreme Z area. Like the one that we just had for the Hercule, Goku and Oob, that was much better. Like whether you want to complain about the restrictions because you personally didn't have the units or whatever, they were all Majin Buu Saga characters and there were multiple units that had Majin Buu Saga leader skills. So it was very easy to do. Whereas this one, definitely a lot more restrictive. I did bring up the LR Krillin information as well. I guess you could bring him as a leader. It wouldn't affect anyone else on the team though, so you're opening yourself up to making especially the second stage a lot more difficult. But the only reason it could be a reasonable idea to do that is because obviously under his own leader skill he'll be giving himself 4 key, and then you only fight RADITZ, so he gets 3 key from this first part of his passive, and then he gets 3 key when you're only facing 1 enemy. So he would be getting 6 key from his passive plus 4 key from his leader skill, so he would be starting the turn on 10 key. So then you're very likely to be able to, unless you get incredibly unlucky and you can literally only pick up 1 orb and it's not physical, then you're going to be able to super attack with this guy. And he's going to do pretty decent damage, because even with his own leader skill only, because he's not going to be getting anything from the friend RADITZ, he still has 150% to attack and defense. So he probably, especially on stage 1, to get the bronze and silver medals, he probably one-shots that RADITZ with his 12 key super. So it's a more risky way to go, because obviously if you're doing the second stage, which will be a little bit harder, and then you don't get Krillin on the first rotation, all the other units that you brought are not going to be getting the full leader skill, and potentially will take quite a bit of damage. So personally, I think it would be interesting to run him as the lead and try that strategy. But I think your best bet is probably to run the double Raditz leads and then use the team as we've sort of shown here. So we've got the Great Ape Vegeta Nappa, who you have to bring. Then we got Great Ape Raditz, got the LR Piccolo, the 8-bit Goku, and then this guy, I say begrudgingly. I mean, you could replace this guy with anyone else, even like the LR Krillin, for example, and he would get at least 6 key from his passive. So you'd still have to get 6 key to super attack with Krillin, but I feel like that would be better than just taking the risk with this guy, who I feel like some people aren't even going to have. And then some people aren't going to have this guy either. So you take them away, and you literally are left with Raditz, Great Ape Nappa, Great Ape Raditz, and then Piccolo. So I'm going to try it out, because if you only had these 4, and then you obviously start the mission, it'll give you 2 Cybermen. I wonder if it will give you int ones because of his leader skill. I think it gives you physical ones because you're fighting an int unit, which is obviously completely useless, because they don't fit under the leader skill. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Obviously, any of these other units, like LR Nappa and Vegeta, are a super great unit, but they don't fit onto the team. So it's a bit of a weird one. I'm interested to know. Let me know what teams you are planning to run. Obviously, if you're seeing this video after the event has already come out, let us know what teams you used. What did you find successful, and then what did you find just absolutely did not work? Because I'm sure that would be helpful information to everyone. So let me know all of that down below in the comments section. Let me know what you think of Raditz, and if you're excited for his easy air. I'm definitely looking forward to trying him out in some of the other modes, but I definitely can't say I'm super hyped for him, especially because, of course, now we have the tech RADITZ in the game, who is a much better unit. But let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the link to the Discord in the description below. Feel free to join there. And again, if you've already done the event, let people know. We have team building sections and stuff in there, so I'm sure there will be people who would like some advice to make this event a little less painless. And I will see you all again in the next one. Have a good one.